This video is one of the most difficult for me to make, not because of the editing or anything like that, but because of the time it took me to put together my setup to feel comfortable in my work cave. For us technicians, assembling the computer as such is not a problem. Cable management, modifications and hardware upgrades are. The idea of having a gamer PC and a high-end motherboard, in this case an Asus TUF X570 Plus, is to take advantage of all its connectors, be ready for the new series of Ryzen 5000 processors, since for the moment Intel happened to be a second option for a long time. At least not in 2020. The new Ryzen processors beat any Intel on the market, in quality and price. Apparently now it is Intel who will enter to compete directly with NVIDIA and AMD with graphics in its 11th generation. In addition, starting with the B550 cards, they are already prepared in PCI 4.0 cards, taking advantage of all their power for Ryzen 5000 and graphics card 6000 series from AMD or Series 3000 from NVIDIA. It does not matter if they are fans of NVIDIA or AMD, I love to see how they fight in the forums, for the launch of the NVIDIA 3000 series and how AMD with its 6000 series and ARND2 technology shakes the market. The best thing is that while the followers fight, it opens up new possibilities for all of us with better price and computational performance. Competition is always good, and the good thing is that while some argue who is better, the gamer market has better options. And although many do not agree, or because they simply do not like them, or do not have a PC gamer motherboard, they keep putting RGB memes, or they just can't. You have to take advantage of all the connectors of a gamer motherboard, RAM, SSDs, and why not RGB and ARGB of the gamer motherboard. RGB and ARGB components are part of the components of a gamer motherboard. And it's a key difference from an improved office computer motherboard. Office PCs of course do not have ARGB or RGB. I make this clarification because what is the use of buying a large motherboard if you do not have planned to add components and computational capacity, in addition to the colors controlled by software. Going back to the setup point, that is why I started adding LED strips and synchronizing the color of the PC with a hub. I'll leave the link in the description. Then I split the case, and made two infinity mirrors, which I ended up removing and replacing with laser cut acrylic and ARGB. I also leave both links in the description. I increased RAM since, as a content generator, we need a lot and I do this with the videos as hobby, without the sponsorship of anyone. I made free Asus 3D prints, pasted the logo I cut in acrylic, paired all ARGB devices, and laser cut and etched acrylic and neon strips, as well as new designs to the case. I also leave the links below in the description of these projects. After all the changes, I had a mess of cables and LED strips highlighted, so I 3D printed a chain for cables to order them. I printed them with transparent filament, so that it would shine better with the LEDs. But my humble desk was still a couple of tables adapted to the space, so I began to sand and cut a space where the LED strips could fit more to measure. I was the proud owner of a 17-inch riser blade, Core i7-7700HQ, with 16GB DDR4, 144HRZ monitor, M.2 storage, and a 6GB NVIDIA 1060 card, but it suddenly got hot and stopped working. That's why I left the laptops behind. I needed the power of an upgradable gamer PC. There are many memes for that too, and I did listen to those. In the end the razor blade, it ended up being a nice cover for a piece of furniture. When disassembling it, to see if it could take advantage of something, like all good laptop gamer, all the chips are soldered to the motherboard, processor, hard disk, NVIDIA card, except for the RAM. Heartbroken, I began to disassemble old equipment that I had in my house, finding a Phenom II, DDR3 RAM, and other i7 and i5 processors from old laptops. I made a nice assembly. I wanted to insert it into the wood with epoxy resin. Because it was the first time, I painted with spray, and filled the space with epoxy resin. I took advantage of the work, and I put an upper table for the monitor and hide the cables, and raised the monitor a little. I covered the devices and painted the desk. There were a few pieces highlighted in the frame and I was a bit disappointed by the result. But suddenly, I won an auction on eBay for 99 cents. My surprise is that 12 Xeon E5228 processors were coming, and a Core 2 Duo, which would go straight to my table, and correct the highlighted defects that I had. So I made a well-sealed frame, mixed enough epoxy to cover everything, at least 1 centimeter, and after watching several YouTube videos, burned with a gas torch, to eliminate the bubbles, which remain inside, and a layer was left completely smooth. I placed 5 meters of LED strips, on the sides of the desk, top to bottom, and on the frame with epoxy resin. I like the result. After all, not everyone has a desktop with so many processors: Xeon, Core i7, i5, AMD, cores, threads, NVIDIA video card, RAM and ATI graphic cards, crystallized inside a PC desktop. So it seemed like a nice project to share, and they are no longer two cheap boards. It already has gold, platinum, which are in the encapsulated processors and components. It is very difficult to extract it, but it is easier to show it off. Also, hardware lovers like myself appreciate the beauty with which these components were built. I'm going to get more parts. I'll try to crystallize the entire desktop with processors, RAM, and motherboards to cover the entire desktop. But this will be another video. If you liked, I thank you for the finger up and the subscription.